One of my sons recently graduated from UNL and moved to Detroit, and he just sent me the most intriguing email. He had been playing around with the most recent version of ChatGPT, and he had instructed it to listen and read every transcript from every YouTube sermon that I have given for the last 5 years. Incidentally, if you're worried that AI will take over humanity, the fact that it would willingly read 5 years of sermons of mine without getting bored shows it's clearly subhuman. Then my son instructed it to write a sermon in the same style and syntax of his father about love. So on this Easter morning, listen to Reverend ChatGPT. Do Reverend Jimmy. I'll read an excerpt, and I'll try to mimic my own voice, which is pretty easy. I want to talk to you about the word love. It's such a small word, yet it carries so much weight and meaning. It's a word that we use to describe the most powerful force in the universe, the force that brought all things into being and interwove them with one another. And yet, we use this tiny little word, love, to describe something so vast and complex. It's almost comical, really. You would think that we would have chosen a more elaborate word, like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, to describe something so magnificent as love. But instead, we use a simple, small, monosyllabic word to describe the greatest mystery of all. Love is a word that is over almost before you finish saying it, and then you're left to encounter the reality of love without words. Okay, that's creepy good. I'd like to announce that First-Plymouth no longer has to pay for a minister. And that last sentence is like spot on. Did you hear this? Love is a word that is over almost before you finish saying it, and then you're left to encounter the reality of love without words. The thing ChatGPT didn't quite catch, though, is we do actually have elaborate words for love. So, for example, when we gather this morning, there's a lavish word we use to define love. It's resurrection. When Christians speak of Christ's resurrection, they are describing that love is stronger than death. They're describing that love is the most essential aspect of reality. When we say Christ is resurrected, we are saying that love believes all things, hopes all things, that love endures all things, that love never ends, that love is the essence from which all life comes. What ChatGPT did not quite grasp is that we use rituals and pomp and circumstance to try to define love from as many angles as possible. All that's taking place here this morning, all of the elaborate pomp, it's about love. It's trying to say that love is stronger than hate. If you're worried that AI is a type of amazing intelligence that might take us over, this morning is crafted by the greatest intelligence, by the infinite eternal mind. All this is God's way of expressing love. You might be dazzled by the speed of AI, but when you're talking about an eternal, infinite intelligence that has known all things before all things, if ChatGPT tried to download the deity and speak in that style and syntax, it would fizzle and sputter. And ChatGPT can't do the deity. It can do Jimmy, but not the deity. Feel me? Feel me? Everything you're seeing and hearing this morning is trying to deepen your grasp of love and hoping that you will be grasped by love. Sometimes love has to be expressed in actions. And we've had an initiative all year long that is just love on the move. I know you've been tracking this. The church decided that there were too many homes right in our neighborhood that were saddled with medical debt, like shackles when you have a debt you just can't get on top of. And so the church decided that every dime that went in the collection plate all year long, and that is today, we'll pass the plate one more time today, that every dime would go to forgive the medical debt of homes right here in central Lincoln. The debt collector agreed to give us anonymized profiles, keep people's privacy, but just tell us of some home right in the streets around us, no address, but it had to be right here, and it would say like a single mother with 2 kids owes $1,000, is paying $50 a month, and isn't going to ever get on top of it. So each month, you would put money in the plate. You put money in the plate. And then each month, we bought as many of those as possible. It now culminates this year. We have retired the debt of over 500 homes right here in the neighborhood. This is you. And as of this morning, we will hit somewhere around $550,000. So this is just love, really. Jesus said, love your neighbor. This is like the Lord's Prayer in action. Forgive us our debts. And the type of liberation and love that people are feeling. Look how many ways we try to define love. Someone once said that justice is what love looks like in public. If you were here last week, something really dramatic happened. If you were at our Palm Sunday service, this is more love in action. We had sent Pastor Juan Carlos Huertas to Philadelphia to be all weekend long with this church right in one of the most struggling neighborhoods in downtown Philadelphia. Church gathers about 1,000, mostly African-American people under 40 every Sunday for worship, and they're trying to minister to their neighborhood. And Pastor Juan Carlos followed that church in its Stations of the Cross to every place in that neighborhood there that someone had been murdered, and they prayed over every spot. And then JC was with them during their worship. And if you were here last week, we went live during our worship to JC in Philadelphia with their pastor, and the voice came over the speakers, and we shared in the Spirit. It was dramatic. But something more dramatic can happen right now. Last week, JC came over the speakers, but right now, you could hear the real JC's voice if you listen. If you go to your heart right now, you could hear the voice of Jesus Christ. Well, we say on Easter that Christ lives. Christians in some amazing spiritual claim say Jesus is a living presence. You could hear him right now if you go to your heart. If you listen to your heart, you will hear Jesus Christ speaking. I'm listening right now. I hear him saying something. I want you to stop hurting each other. Do you hear him? I hear his voice. His voice is always plaintive and direct. I hear him saying, I want you to stop hurting each other. I want you to stop blaming each other. I can hear his voice. I want you to stop blaming each other. Instead of blaming others, start dealing with your own stuff. This is actually me talking now. Instead of always blaming problems on other people or something else, to deal with our own stuff. If you listen, you can hear Jesus' voice. I can hear it right now. I want you to do the slow, good work together. Instead of always spinning controversies around issues so that you can avoid doing the actual good work, I want you to do good work together. Can you hear him? Go to your heart. I hear him. I want you to be less afraid. I hear him. I want you to be less afraid. Because when you're fearful, everything goes sideways. I want you to trust me. I can hear him. Listen to his voice. Trust me. I have given you everything you need. Trust me. You will never be alone. I will be with you to the close of the age. Trust me. Do you hear him?